Welcome back into Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Tony Meola and not Charlie Davies because we have a special guest in place. Instead, it is Aidan Morris, 22-year-old midfielder for the U.S. men's national team in Middlesbrough in the championship in England. Aidan, great to see you as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Excited to chat.
All right, so I guess I kind of want to reverse engineer this. First and foremost, congrats on the big 1-0 win over Sheffield United yesterday. But I want to talk about the U.S. men's national team because two decent games with a new coach named Mauricio Pochettino. You got to start both of those games. What did it mean to you in particular to get those starts under a coach that everybody holds in high regard?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I think the day of the first game we played Panama, I kind of had this mentality of like, man, it's a big game, man. This is such a important match for U.S. soccer, and this new big time coach is coming to represent us. But I just tried to maintain the mentality of just, man, it's just another game. I gotta do what I do best, man, and go out there and do my job. But it's cool, man. It's cool looking on the sideline and seeing a guy like that representing your country. And yeah, it's early days, but it's been cool to work with him so far.
So let's talk about that a little bit. And you find out Pochettino's coming in. Obviously, we're all excited. We know there's a change coming. We'd heard his name for a while, but you get the first phone call, right? And you're like, you're going into camp. So I'm wondering, we all have when we used to go into camps, everyone had a measure of what success was at the end, right? Whether it was to win the tournament or whether it was to get to the next round, whatever. When you knew you were going into camp, what were you measuring success to be at the end of the camp?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think any of it had to do with the new coach coming in. I just think, I haven't been around that full European squad a lot, so I think for me, it was more about just implementing myself there and making myself one of the mainstay guys. And that just comes with consistency and putting together consistent performances. And, Panama was a solid, consistent performance, and then Mexico wasn't my best game. But I think just putting together solid performances. I think that was the solid thing. The important thing for me going into it.
So, Aid, let's talk about both of those games because for me, me and Tony, we've been clamoring for a back three with the national team because we have some dynamic wing backs that can get up and down the line. So it looked like we had somewhat of a back three with Joe Scally tucking in a little bit, and then you have Musa on the right and Jedi on the left. Was that what it looked like? Is that what the build-up play was? I guess you don't want to reveal too many secrets, but can you get just a little bit of it? And were you guys playing like a double six with you and Busio, or was there different asks based on the situation from Pochettino?
Yeah, I think you guys got it pretty close. I'm a big fan of the back three, especially in Columbus. I enjoyed it a lot. And then the two pivots in the middle, yeah, Boost and I were playing there. And then the three, it was kind of interchangeable. I think that's one thing that's cool and unique about Poch is like he's very free flowing. Just do what the game provides and what it gives you. And for me, it was nothing that he said that was like, okay, it has to be this, it has to be that. It was kind of just like, sometimes we're going to end up in different positions and be able to be flexible and in that, be comfortable. So I think sometimes you saw Joe a little bit more narrow. Sometimes you saw Jedi a little bit more narrow. But I think the main thing was build up in the three, but also have the flexibility to adapt.
So over the last year, you've got kind of, let's call them three different roles, right? For lack of a better term, you got a role under Wilfried now, so you got a role under Michael Carrick, and you got a role now under Mauricio Pochettino. What's the juggling process with all of that stuff? You have the way you want to play, right? You have certain qualities that you bring to a game, and that's why a manager picks you. But how have you been able, or how difficult has it been, or easy has it been to kind of mesh all of those things together?
Yeah, I love it, man. I love the discomfort I feel, going into new environments and dealing with different coaches and no coach is the same, everyone, even with Caleb, man, he wants something different than Wilfried and all these guys. So yeah, I think originally it was tough for me going with Wilfried, who's such a distinct style of play and his principles he wants you to abide by them. And then going into kind of the national team environment and thing being a little bit more free flowing. So that was difficult. But then I think the most important thing I learned to take with me in different places is just build relationships with the players on the field. Regardless of what tactics or whatever the coach is telling you to do. If you have good relationships with players on the field and you know where your teammate's going to be at all times, it makes things pretty easy.
I love that because, and I've talked about this before on the show, when I broke into the national team, very similar to you, you have to build a rapport and respect, especially with, let's say, the European-based guys, right?
Yeah.
You know, they come in, they've got a lot of hype and deserved hype, of course. And so how do you build that quickly? Because you want to get on the field and you want to prove yourself and that you can hold your own with those guys. So one of the things that I did, and I was a center back, is I'd go up to Pablo Mastriani or Claudio Reyna, John O'Brien, and say, hey, listen, any information I'm giving you is because I want you to do less running. So you would love playing with me, Aidan Morris, because I wanted you to do less running. And once you give them information that actually works and I get them to move into a passing lane, man, the trust that you build right away is crazy. So I completely understand where you're coming from, and I love that approach. Now, kind of using and piggybacking off of what Tony asked you, is there anything that you've taken, let's say, from Wilfried Nancy and then applied it with what's happening with Michael Carrick in Middlesbrough? Because that transition, honestly, you've done an incredible job of making that transition look seamless.
Yeah, Wilfried, he's such a great coach, man, and he made this transition for me so easy, and not easy, you know, but what's the right term, you know, just smooth, you know, not much stress. And I think it was just his ability to stress to me that just always be one step ahead, you know what you're going to do with the ball before you get it. And just have this composure and this poise out there. I think the championship is so chaotic sometimes, and it's be able to have that composure that I think really made it easy for me. And with Wilfried, he constantly stressed with me about having it, you know, so I think that was definitely something that made my transition a bit easier.
You know, I'm curious because most people don't know I had you with the youth national teams, right? And we were in camps together, and you were always one of those guys where you came into camp, steady player, always knew you had the ability to play, and would make a career out of this. But there was a period of time in there where I think you might have, I don't want to know if it's lost confidence in yourself, but maybe questioned yourself, right, at some point. And I'm curious when it was, because I have a moment in my mind, and I'm wondering if it lines up with yours, where you said, you know what, I'm here to stay in the center of midfield, whether it's in Columbus, whether it's at Middlesbrough, or it's with the national team. I have a specific night, and I'll reveal it to you, but because I called the game on the radio, and it was a massive moment in your career, I thought, which everyone kind of figured out, including yourself, that this was going to be something you were going to be doing for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I ever doubted it, man. I think throughout my whole life, I've dealt with adversity, and I've had to always prove myself to whatever environment I'm in, you know, and for me, I'm patient, man. Things take time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I love that. You know, I don't want things to happen so quick and success to come right away. I want to feel it. You know, I want to feel the discomfort. I want to go through the adversity, you know, and that helps with my growth, you know? So yeah, there was times when I came out of college and I was the man in college and I was doing great and had success there. And then I come to Caleb and the crew, and, you know, I struggled a bit, but it's fine. You know, I think that taught me a lot about myself. And then going and playing that year, and I tore my ACL and then on the sideline for a bit, and that taught me enormous amounts about myself as well. And then from there, it was just being steady and just proving myself. And yeah, I mean, I think I remember the game you were talking about, and yeah, I always think I knew I was going to be there. You know, I believe in myself. No matter if I'm rock bottom or I'm at the high, you know, I try to keep my highs low and my lows high. So yeah.
Yeah, and you were always able to do that. Jimmy, the game I'm talking about is, I guess COVID year was 2020 final, right? Where the night before the game, Darlington Nagbe and Pedro Santos, right? Yeah. Both come down with COVID, and Aidan is playing in the final. And okay, Zella Ryan, and I mean, I know the guys who have to get MVP, but the reality is Aidan Morris was not, I'm not saying this, I've said this on the radio for years when we talk about this game. I thought Aidan Morris was the MVP of that game, and I thought that was the moment, having known you, Aidan, before, where you were like, I'm here now. I'm here to stay. And it was such a cool moment to watch. And I think I told you this in Chicago after one of the games, right? When I met you in the tunnel after the game. So, Jimmy, it was just a cool moment to watch, the evolution of someone that you had seen at a younger age.
No, I mean, that's definitely when Aidan hit the radar for a lot of us that were following MLS, like, all right, this kid can play. I look forward to his future. Now here we are, but you're only 22. So one of the things, Aidan, that I appreciate you saying is that you almost seek out discomfort, and in ways you're trying to solve the problem of how do I get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So a question for you: what do you think's harder to play in? The hell is real derby in Cincinnati, or away at Stoke on a rainy Tuesday night in the championship?
Well, I haven't played at Stoke yet, to be fair, but I played Sunderland. That's our big rivalry, which is 30 minutes down the road, and that atmosphere was crazy. Cincinnati and Columbus, it's nowadays been a rivalry, but I don't think that fears the crew players very much. But,
here we go.
But
boy,
I love it.
The Sunderland game, that was a top game. I think that was a really cool experience for me, and as me being a young kid, those are the games you dream to play in. So,
where was that one? Was it at your place or their place?
it was in their place.
That's a great stadium. Or stadium like great place. Yeah, good for you. That's awesome. So you meant discomfort. Walk us through. You make this move from Columbus. You got to go overseas. You're moving all your stuff. You get in that dressing room for the first time. It's not a comfortable feeling, no matter who you are, no matter what player you are. Kind of walk us through how you navigate through that whole thing.
Yeah, it was tough, to be honest, Tony. I think I moved away from home when I was 15, obviously, and then I moved to Columbus, which I was greeted by an amazing host family, like a family I still call my family nowadays. And that was obviously a tough transition, but it was easy. I had family around me, friends, and now moving across the pond where there's a 5-hour difference. They're leaving work and I'm going to bed, so it's limited time to catch up. And then just being in a completely new place where things are just run differently. You don't see the sun as much. It's just all those little details that might sound silly, but they go a long way. But then I kept reminding myself, man, this is why I did it. I could have stayed in Columbus and had success and won different things. But, I felt like I talked to Wilfried about it as well. It was just my time to move on and seek that discomfort, man, and not be so not complacent, but just comfortable in that Columbus environment. So I just try to remind myself of that, man. I came here for a reason. This is just a stepping stone. I love Middlesbrough already. It's become my home. The fans and the atmosphere and the coaching staff, the players are all amazing. But it takes time, like everything. Columbus takes time. Indiana took time. My childhood clubs took time. So I just tried to keep that in the back of my head.
Well, it hasn't taken you too much time to be trusted in the starting 11. And they already got a song that they're singing for you in the stands, which is amazing. But looking forward, you got Norwich this upcoming weekend away from home, which isn't going to be easy. You guys are tied on points with 17. You're just outside of the top 6 in the championship. Norwich haven't lost at home yet this season, so that's going to be difficult. You got Josh Sargent, one of your U.S. teammates, on that team. And then following that game, you play Haji Wright in Coventry at home. Is there a WhatsApp group that exists for all of you guys that are over in the UK, or what's the relationship like with the other U.S. players?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet, man, when you come back into your club environment. I think everyone's so busy. I mean, I just had 3 games. I'm about to have 3 games in a week, so you barely get enough time to sleep. So you're pretty quiet on that form of communication with them. But yeah, it's always nice going up against an American, and I'm excited. I was seeing Josh's clips today in our film, and it got me a bit excited, seeing a buddy out there and be able to compete.
Yeah, it's been fun having the games on Golazzo Network and watching you guys in the championship week in and week out. You said just a couple minutes ago something about a stepping stone, right? What's the ceiling in your mind for Aidan Morris? Where does Aidan Morris, let me put it this way to you, where does Aidan Morris see himself 5 years from now?
If you don't say Real Madrid, I don't even know what we're doing here at this point.
Or AC Milan. I'm a Milan fan, Aidan. You can say that one too,
right.
But go ahead.
You can take over for Luka Modric. It's all good.
I was talking to my brothers last night. I was like, man, the pinnacle of a career is playing for Madrid and wearing that white kit. But honestly, man, I don't have a ceiling, man. I'm just taking it day by day. Obviously, as a young kid, man, growing up, I was a big supporter of United, so playing for that club would be unbelievable. And I'm just taking it day by day, trying to stay in the present and just focus on my growth. And I think if I just keep that mentality, man, it'll take me a long way. But yeah, wearing that white kit would be pretty sweet. So I guess
it would be amazing. And
Jimmy,
Yep,
I'm just saying, United, Michael Carrick.
That's true.
I'm just thinking out loud, Jimmy.
It's
That's
a nice
all. That's
bridge
what I
to
do,
that club.
man.
That's a nice bridge.
Just
It's a nice
saying.
bridge to that club. So now let's go back to the national team. We have the CONCACAF Nations League coming up in November, 2 legs against Jamaica, which feels like a pretty tough draw for the quarterfinals. They're now coached by Steve McLaren, a little more organized. They already seem like they're playing pretty well, not giving up a lot of goals, so organized on the defensive side of the ball. What's the conversation and dialogue now with Pochettino leading into that, and how are you feeling going into those games? Because now there could be some competition for your area of the field now that we have Tyler Adams back. We'll see how much he's back, and then you have Johnny Cardoso. Obviously, competition is part of it. That's part of being a part of the national team or a club team. But what's the conversation like over that overall?
Yeah, I don't think I'm there yet to be able to give you a fair enough answer or the answer.
Come on, Aidan.
But I got a game this weekend that I'm focusing on.
I hear you.
Priority, but yeah, I think we've been playing a couple friendlies these last couple camps, so I think everyone's kind of ready to get into it, and really fight for something, and see that competitive nature of Poch. You can already feel it. He's very competitive, so be able to see that in a real game that's meaningful in some ways. I'm not saying that those other games aren't, but yeah.
Aidan, one last one for me. We follow national team obviously as close as anybody does. What when you leave camp, what's Pochettino and his staff like with regards to, hey, Aidan, you did this great, but let's work on this? Like what sort of homework, if you will, maybe, and advice did they leave with you heading out the door?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever stuff like that they're saying that you're heading out the door, and they're just trying to add stuff on. I think it's just stuff throughout the week that they're kind of giving you ideas on, and I think he also knows, like, man, we all got quality and we're all here for a reason. So it's more about how he wants us to play under his style, I guess you could say. It's not really stuff with your individual game. It's just, you got the talent to be here, and now just kind of cater it to a little bit of his ideas and his principles.
Well, Aidan, thank you so much for your time. We love the insights. We wish you the best of luck against Norwich and Coventry in the next week, and continued success. You're the man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Aidan.